it's not just one problem. There are many problems that are interconnected, and many of them are originating as problems from the Western capitalist and former colonial world. And to me, one of the key problems is inequality and the unequal distribution of resources. And this comes in a very intricate relation with all the rest of the problems that it generates, including the effects on the climate. The answers when it comes to action are always more complex. I think I have this problem in my field of practice in the cultural world, and especially in relation to arts, that a lot of energy has been dedicated in the past decades to analyzing the context and creating this constant critique, which is very welcome, but at some point it becomes a manneristic gesture and it's disempowering. I think we need simply another life vision. And luckily, in other parts of the world, this happens already. There is a different view of how things are connected and how we can do something rather than say that it's too late and the world is just this on the brink of collapse, which it probably is. But even if we don't do anything, it won't matter. If we do something, maybe there are chances things can maybe change for the better. It is usually said that we work in a lot in the field of imagination and creating these possibilities that maybe other people don't see. We have been extracting the art from its bubble, let's say. We have been trying to see art in a continuum with other forms of life and of cultural manifestations and forms of creating alliances, because artists have skills in depicting, representing reality, in imagining alternatives, in communicating and healing. There are a lot of skills that they have that we should use more. There is this very rewarding thing that happens when you cultivate a garden, because that's what we started doing. We apart from seeing it as a place for artists to research and work, it's also a place to coexist with nature. And we started planting a garden in a place where there was only monoculture. It's a former agricultural field, so for many years it was industrially cultivated, and the soil was, I think, depleted of its richness. So with this garden we try to restore a bit of biodiversity, of different coexistence and balance of species, vegetal and also insects and others that are complementary. When there is so much violence and so much investment into destruction, this is just a small gesture where you can say there can be a different way of living, basically. Another thing is that being there constantly, it gives us this real-time analysis of how things change. Also, right from one season to another, from one year to another, we see the stronger differences between seasons, between these extreme temperatures, extreme storms, things that we didn't have before. So this gives us a very close perception and insight into actually how much worse it is going to be. So it's it's a way of also looking at who's there, who's still resisting, like some plants or some insects or some birds, and to learn from them. Basically, it's the humans who have to adapt, and not them making everyone else adapt to their lifestyle. Yeah, I think it will be very good when you make like a guidebook of good practices. It's always very useful. And also for the practices that are in the same platform to be together, it's also for them becoming aware of each other first of all. When we started, we wrote this statement, let's say, a bit like what are our intentions with the place, and one of the things is that we would see it as a prototype, as a model that others can easily reproduce, because it's showing it's not about how it develops in itself, but also that it develops this set of tools that others can easily use in other contexts and adapt for their needs. We learn a lot from our previous practice, from other partners, and from similar initiatives, and it's actually and it's very important that it's an open process. We learn from each other and we give forward this knowledge. I mean, the most difficult was to persuade people around us, and then people like a lawyer or a notary or people from the administration, that we really want to do this, because the tendency is that people in the same family kill each other for a piece of land. So it was quite uncommon. So then to overcome this skepticism was one of the toughest part, and then all the bureaucracy, and then all the mistrust in the legal situation of land owning in Romania, which we still have, even now we bought it, but there is always a possibility that the land is not ours. So there is this haunting, constant haunting by the way in which the laws were made, and especially in relation to land retrocession. And the most difficult thing so far has been last year when the war started in our proximity, yeah, in Ukraine. So that was a signal that actually these destructive forces are much stronger than we believe them to be, and it was almost like a freezing moment. Uh, but yeah, we try to. I have this idea that if people would plant, would see the plant for every weapon that is being produced and used, maybe there is hope that we can counter this. That the garden is growing, and where nothing seemed possible now, it's actually developing, and it's not just an image in my mind, like a a distant image, but it becomes concrete and reality. We gave ourselves some 7 years to see if it takes some shape, if we can put it on the map, or if it's total failure. So we consider that as well, but mainly it's our project as well. We try to make it work. So the main motivation is to actually go there and do it, make it happen. And it's also a way of a bit of fighting off all the problems and all the yeah, everything that happens around, because when you take this refuge in work, at least you see something good that happens. In a way, it's paradoxical because we have these networks as an arts organization, so we are using a lot of those connections that existed since we exist as an institution, as an organization, and we have the skills of communication. We tested them for many years, but we tested them for another purpose. So it's to communicate an art event. It's in a way much easier than to communicate what we are doing there. So somehow those networks are not so useful anymore. We have to create also other networks towards which we disseminate, and like people who are active in other fields, and people who come more from activist backgrounds, or from community work, or from, yeah, peasants, and things like that, that they were not necessarily our audience or our partners of discussion. And instead, with the art world, we communicate in the extent where there are people who share our interests and beliefs, and also this includes artists, that we are challenging artists to think of their practice in a different context, where it's more ecologically aware, or it has another purpose than they are used to. And we use some of course some social media, which is harder and harder to use because it's been so commercialized, but it actually works. So there are people who follow us who even tell us that they are following us like a soap opera. So we know we reach many more people than those who actually come to our place, and this is it's important. And I really invested a lot of energy and hope into this, and I'm not willing to stop. Yeah, but of course now